the Star Session series itself. PM School quite frequently organizes something called the Star Session, where we invite leaders from the industry to share their product management journey with us, along with obviously their own experiences on specific topics. And today we have Indra, who is joining us to talk a little bit about consuming or working with data and AI and the applications of AI in the tech industry or in the tech space. Before we jump into the session itself, I would probably like to add that everyone is encouraged, of course, to add your questions through in a chat section whenever you have them. We will have strategic pauses either through the session or towards the end to answer these questions. And talking a little bit about PM School, we are Asia's largest product community today, with over 200,000 members across the globe, in fact, primarily in Asia, Southeast Asia. And we work with helping aspiring product managers or aspiring product enthusiasts become product managers through an 8-week, quite very intense boot camp kind of a program called PM School Flagship program itself. If you're interested, Priyal from my team will be reaching out to you, or you can reach out to Priyal from my team for more information. With that, we get started with today's session. Hey, Andhra, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to PM School Star Session. We can get started whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Kushal. Appreciate you having me. I'm very excited about this. And I really love what you guys are doing at the PM School. The content, the series, the sessions, what you generate, I'm sure it's very helpful for your subscribers. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Indra Misra. I'm a platform PM for the data and AI team at BIL. BIL is a fintech company based out of San Jose. We provide payment solutions, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and financial operation spend and expense solutions to small and medium businesses and also accounting firms. My role at BIL is to unlock the value of data for both internal and external use cases. So this is the agenda for today's session. I'll talk about my journey. A lot of people ask me about how did you end up becoming a product manager? So I thought of adding this slide because it will give insights to aspiring PMs or already existing PMs or what a platform PM journey could look like. Having said that, different people in the PM space have different backgrounds and different journey. No journey is right. It's not like if you don't have a technical background, you can't become a platform PM. It's totally up to you and your skills and how you develop it along the way. There's no prerequisite to that, so I'll talk about that. Some basics of platform PM. I'll go over some of the team structure, roles, and responsibility in the data analytics and AI ecosystem in the industry. This would give a good overview of how the stakeholders, internal stakeholders for you as a platform PM can look like. And then I'll talk about the data journey of a company, like where does the source data start from, how it's consumed, how it transforms along the way. It's different based on the maturity of the company, how much data mature the company is. But overall, in this section, you'll get a good understanding of how the data works in the journey. And then I'll touch on a bunch of Gen AI impacts and use cases since October 2022 when OpenAI launched the ChatGPT 4. Things have changed a lot in the industry, as you guys must be aware. So I'll talk a few things as potential use cases, challenges in that space, etc. With that, I'll jump on to the content. I did my undergrad in India in computer science and then came to Boston for my graduate school master's in computer science at Northeastern University. And after studying there for 2 years, I decided to be a software engineer in a big tech company, like most of the folks in our cohort. I started off my career with Dell Technologies, working in their data observability space. So I was a full stack engineer working on a SaaS observability tool for Dell Technologies in their data centers. I worked there for 3-4 years, and then I realized that after 9 to 5, after my day job, I wasn't getting that kind of satisfaction just because I wasn't getting the full picture of how my work is impacting our customers on the ground. So that's when I started thinking about what other roles in the industry would align to my interests and passion, and how can I make a bigger impact. Uh, while during my thoughts, while I was pondering about all this, Dell Technologies acquired EMC Corporation, which was at the time the largest data center storage company. As a part of that acquisition, since we were working in the Dell storage division, it was quite an overlap for us, and a lot of us had to do integrations. So I was put on a project where we were merging Dell and EMC systems into one, and there was a void for a position for a product owner. So I was lucky enough to get that opportunity to make my transition, unofficial transition to product management along with software engineering. So I was doing PM as a part-time as part of that integration of both tools from Dell and EMC. That's where my journey started. And after working at Dell for a couple of years on that integration project, I decided to make a formal switch to another company called EBSCO Information Services, which is like think of it like as a Google search engine for publishing companies or academic institutions and libraries. So EBSCO consolidated all the publishing data into one master repo, which was made it available to libraries and academic institutions to search on. Then during my full-time job, I did my MBA from Boston University, and then I joined a company called Tapjoy which worked on mobile gaming ad tech ecosystem. I was leading their data science, ad ranking, and data platform teams. Most recently, I was with Twitter, joined there as a PM on their data and ML platform team, and switched to the site stability infrastructure team after the acquisition. And I was there for around 14-15 months, and then moved on to my current job at Bill, managing the data platform and AI teams at Bill. All right. So what is platform product management? It's think of platform product management as a PM for kind of technical teams or platform teams, which enable the business to unlock value horizontally across different business units. So, for example, data platform can be a part of platform PM realm, which I lead. ML platform can be one, mobile platform. Different companies structure platform product management differently. Some of them call it as technical product managers. The only difference between a traditional PM, not a platform PM, is like the tools and technologies which you deal with. It's more technically and engineering heavy, and you deal with a lot of internal technical stakeholders as a platform PM. However, the phases of product management does not change. It's the same. It's just how your approach towards those phases would be. So overall, PM, I classify them into four big stages or phases, and each of these four phases can have like sub phases to it, depending on what kind of company you work for and how the PM team is set up. Planning is a very important phase where you do discovery and ideation of the problem and what is the potential impact of that problem and how you're going to solve it. And then comes the alignment with the right people, stakeholders, and get all the right people in the room to brainstorm on that problem and come up with some ideas that align with the mission and vision of the company and the customer problem as a whole. Third phase comes to the execution side. I'm a big proponent of slicing and dicing the big problem into smaller chunks. So iterative execution, agile execution is something which most of the companies are doing now. Fail fast is what people are trying to do and learn from their mistakes and quickly iterate over it. And final phase is measuring and improving. So you should, when you are executing and building the product plan, you should have the right OKRs and KPIs to measure the success or the failure of the product and improving in future phases. Who is a good product manager? I feel a PM's job is to orchestrate different opinions, balance it with the facts based on data, and translate it into priorities and actions. This step can look very easy, but it requires a lot of different moving parts. So you need to have a certain kind of template or a structure to this process where you can kind of organize your thought process both in collection of these opinions from and the facts from different stakeholders and subject matter experts around you, and prioritize them and translate them into a roadmap actionable item. There are a lot of skills and traits which are required for a PM in a day-to-day life, but these are the 6 things which I feel covers most aspect of it. If you see critical thinking on top left corner of the of this chart, I see critical thinking as evaluating product ideas and then prioritizing those based on the impact and the mission and vision of the company, right? Identifying assumption, playing devil's advocate, breaking down complex problems in smaller chunks, understanding pros and cons of every solution and calculated risk. So all these things comprise and make of critical thinking. Coming to cognitive empathy, think of it like putting yourself in your customer's shoes or your stakeholders' shoes and speak their language. Understanding the user pain points, appreciating emotions and experience of customers, understanding their point of view of where they're coming from, and adopting to these challenges. A rockstar PM, in my opinion, is someone who translates cognitive empathy into insights and roadmap items, right? Influential communication, both sync and async, with the advancement of COVID and with what happened with remote work culture and global teams. I feel both sync and async communications are very important to get your point right. By sync communication, I mean meetings. Async are like Slack, email, Microsoft Teams, and other collaboration through comments on Google Docs or Office 365. So as a part of sync communication, I feel like the PM's driving meetings effectively is very important, taking meeting notes and making sure you have a solid list of action items and an accountable person who owns that action items as at the end of the meeting. Your communication should be concise. There's a lot of noise in everyone's life, so it has to be very concise yet impactful and to the point. Being on top of Slack messages, creating a whole async ecosystem where your teams and stakeholders are confident and comfortable and feel as a safe space to raise any issues or share their progress is very important. And working in a globally diverse team, it's critical to have a good ecosystem of async communication where everyone is contributing towards it and kind of making a network for it. traits, curiosity. You need to be curious about the problem, what you're trying to solve, what is the root cause, 5 whys, etc. Deep care towards your customers, and high agency about self-efficacy, resilience, and optimism towards what you're doing. A lot of people ask me, what is the difference between an engineering manager and product manager? Think of a PM doing the definition and discovery for what and why part of the solution, and EMs helping out with the how, the architecture, the design, and the phases of implementation. PMs are helped by engineers and designers on some of the what aspect to it as well, and also on the when, like how do you phase out based on the level of effort of that work. So it's a collaborative effort, but there is a distinction of responsibility, and it's very important for both the PMs and EMs to know that boundary and also respect each other's skill set and expertise, and work as a team. I'll pause here before I start getting into the details of the data ecosystem in tech, and what are the big pillars and teams around it, and see if there are any questions in the chat. Kushal?
No, Indra, we don't have any question as of now.
Okay, I'll keep going. All right, so based on my experience working on different domains and industry as a PM, as software engineer, I feel the data ecosystem is primarily divided into 3 pillars. First one is the data platform pillar. Second is the data analytics pillar, and third is the data science, ML, and AI pillar. Starting off with data platform, I feel think of data platform as a first point of entry for owning all of the data sources, owning a robust and scalable platform to efficiently store and process, manage different types of data across the company. Third-party sources, data, internal data, which is being produced by the data producers within a company, etc. Making sure that data is available, secure, retained, and integrated for consumption, both for internally as well as external use cases. As a part of the roles and responsibility of data platform team, end-to-end data extraction, transformation, and load is a critical aspect to it, where you are taking some subset of raw data, transforming into something smaller based on the use case, and making it available for downstream application, either in a batch form or a real-time form, based on whatever the needs and requirements for the use cases are. Coming to the second pillar, data analytics. Data analytics is, think of it working in a more cleaner data and a smaller subset of data than the data platform. It's structured data, a smaller data set, and the analytics team mostly works on that specific targeted data set to build models and visualizations and reporting to enable other use cases, mostly internal use cases. Think of it like Tableau dashboards for internal metrics reporting. Think of it as some data that is required by PM to make some decisions around a product. Instrumentation data, which is captured in a product on how users are interacting with your SaaS platform, etc. Third pillar is the data science, ML, and AI pillar. There are a lot of things happening with the Gen AI, so things have changed in this space, but traditionally I wouldn't say it's completely changed the foundation of this space, but rather augmented it with much more efficient tools like LLMs to make things quicker and make modeling and predictions, etc., much more easier and quicker to do. So this pillar primarily consumes the data from platform and analytics teams and trains its model to automate processes, increase efficiency, enhance predictions, optimize operations. This is more like an iterative process where it starts off with the basics of statistics and mathematics, and then there's sophisticated data science models, clustering models, predictive models, forecasting models, which are built either in-house or taken from like third-party open sources, or now even integrating with the different LLMs that are out in the market with OpenAI, Mistral, Cloud, Anthropic, etc. So this space is mostly used for external use cases, but sometimes I've seen like there might be some internal use cases where data science teams are helping as well. The next two slides is like the structure in a traditional like a tech company, and how these teams operate. There's a data platform team which has an EM. There are data engineers in that organization, and then there's a parallel data analytics team who also has an EM with some analysts, BI engineers as part of it. The platform PMs work across these domains to basically enable their stakeholders with the products as part of the whole data ecosystem. DBAs, data infra specialists, can be a part of data platform team. Sometimes they are part of infrastructure team. Depends from company to company. And then you see a data governance specialist. So it depends on how mature the company is in their journey. If the company is too mature, they might have very specific org driven towards data governance. And data platform and analytics teams enable and provide tooling to help those data governance specialists to enforce these policies which they put together. For example, data retention policies, personal data, PII data, data masking, etc. Credit card information, user personal data. There are a lot of laws around it. You guys must be aware of. GDPR is one of them. So these compliance related stuff are enforced by data governance specialists. They build the policies, and analysts and platform teams build tools to enable the internal stakeholders to get that job done. Similar roles and responsibilities for an AI team, where there's an AI platform team which is building like the ML productionizing system. You guys must have heard of AWS SageMaker, Feature Store. So building the foundation level on how quickly a data science model or a machine learning model can be applied or made available to be consumed by downstream use cases as an API, or as an input source to another model, etc. So the platform team enables the AI team, and AI researchers are the one who are doing the modeling, statistical analysis, training of the data set, and iterating over it. Again, EMs manage both a platform team and research team, and then there'll be ML engineers in the platform team and data scientists in the research team, and platform PMs have to work across these teams. Now I'm going to talk about a few top problems which across the industry are trying to use data and AI for. Obviously, it's a very, very large space. So it's not limited to just these problems, but these are the ones which most of the companies use data heavily to solve these problems. So personalization and insights being one, where targeted marketing, user segmentation for social media, clustering of users based on their likes and interaction with their product, how it's used in social media, user experience based on interest, personalization on what content they see, what type of features they are a part of, content recommendations, and insights on the data which they have on that platform. So this is a very large bucket, and different domains in the industry use it differently. But overall, think of it using customer data or the data, user data or product data which is available to companies. They use that to make their user experience much more targeted, personalized, so that the customers can get value out of their product. Second is optimization. So cost optimization, resource optimization, infrastructure optimization, supply chain, depending on your industry, different types of efficiency techniques are being, data is being leveraged to make your operations more efficient. Risk and fraud detection. I work for a fintech company, so obviously it's a very critical use case. But data, there's like the whole different world on dark web where all the bad actors are sharing credit card details and personal information. So connecting the main web with the dark web and how connecting the dots on these data points to predict some of the fraud actors and be ahead in the game. Proactive fraud detection and monitoring to save financial losses or branding losses for companies is one of the use cases where data is highly leveraged for. Data governance and compliance, as I mentioned already, there are a lot of rules which companies have to adhere to, and also as good practices and standard across the company so that the data is kind of governed and managed properly. The access management is a part of it. Who can see what type of data? HR data, financial data cannot be accessed with it for everyone in the company. So all those things come in this bucket, and the data platform and analytics team build tooling to help enforce these policies. I'll take another pause here before I go in the details of data journey, how the flow of data works from source to destination, and see if there are any questions. Priya?
Yeah, we do have a question from Raghav on the chat.
Look at it. Is it the latest question from Raghav?
Yeah, how do companies plan for series of analytics to be performed by data analytics and AI teams?
It's a pile of ad hoc requests getting prioritized, standard practices. Yeah. Great question, Raghav. So different companies have different prioritization processes and they tackle this problem in their own way on what works best for them. I'll talk about a couple of different approaches. The level of effort and impact of the use case of the problem which the data and AI is going to solve is one thing which is being used and leveraged across the board in the industry. So I'll give you an example. So if a downstream team in a company comes to a data platform PM asking for a machine learning model to be built that would cluster their users in different segments, right? So the first question you need to ask that stakeholder is how impactful, how many, what are the top business metrics that is going to be moved by these clustering of users, and what is the monetizable aspect of it, what is the growth aspect of it, what is the NPS aspect of it, so that you can relate it to the priority decision, right? So either you connect the dollar value, if it's targeted sales based on the number of customers, how much conversion they do on your platform, etc. Either you tie the dollar value to it, or you tie the number of users impacted and the NPS impacted. There can be CX data around what the support requests come in that can also be tied to it. But on a high level, point being the impact of that downstream use case. Second lever is the level of effort. So that's when the platform PM works with the engineering team and understand, okay, how difficult and how big this job is and how many resources are required to build this. And then you do that kind of calculation to come up with some prioritization score, and you weigh in with other things on your plate, right? And that's how you prioritize these work. Having said that, it's not that straightforward. Sometimes there are time critical ad hoc requests, as you mentioned. Those need to be prioritized. So I personally have, what I do is I keep some buffer capacity for our teams to tackle these time sensitive critical requests and tactical requests, and keep the rest of the time for strategic larger initiatives, which are moving business needle on a larger scale. Cool. I see a question from Kyle in the chat. AI is moving incredibly fast. Some AILM products are created and decommissioned a few months later. Implementing AI product requires having edge investment. How do you de-risk the constant iteration of AI products? Great question, Kyle. So it comes back to the point which I earlier made in the presentation on the discovery phase, right? So it's the responsibility of a platform PM to understand the impact of the AI use cases, whether it's the right problem to solve with AI. A lot of times I've seen in the recent past, especially with the Gen AI advancements, that people think that every problem can be solved or should or need to be solved using AI and LLMs. That's not the case. Some problems can be solved in a much better manner with other use cases like traditional ML models, or just traditional statistical models, or just data aggregation and transformation, right? So you have to understand the problem and what you are trying to achieve for your customers. What is the pain point you are trying to solve before jumping the gun and going to AI and building the solution and using LLMs and whatever the fancy technology is available for you. So I would definitely emphasize on the fact that proper discovery needs to be done when a problem comes, whether it's the right problem to solve with LLM AI, or it can be solved with a much more traditional heuristic data technique. And as you said, a lot of companies are realizing early in their phases that they jumped too quickly to use OpenAI for solving certain things. It didn't work out well for them. Either they are pivoting off of it, going back to some other methods, or they are changing the course of the problem and trying to solve for something else. So it's a constant, I would say, battle between what's fancy, what's new, what's technically cool versus the real problem which you are trying to solve. The ROI of that investment is very critical. And again, it's not 100%. Even if you do a lot of discovery, you might fail and come back and say that, okay, we used OpenAI or LLM to solve an XYZ use case, but it's not working properly. Either it's not efficient, or it's too expensive, or it's not delivering value to our customers. So it has to be an iterative process, and people and teams should avoid over engineering and do iterative development and learn along the way rather than building a holistic solution in the first phase. All right. Any other questions? Cool. I'll keep going. Flow of data. This covers like when a data is sourced from a raw data source to a data lake within a company, how it's transformed, extracted, loaded for downstream use cases, and how it's consumed by internal and external customers. So starting off with the data lake, think of data lake as a one-stop shop for all structured and unstructured or semi-structured big data in your organization. So it's the place where everything can be found. The schema is flexible. It allows data to be ingested in any format, any predefined schema. You don't have to massage the data. Whatever the source is pushing the data into, the data lake can consume it in any format or structure. Scalability, as I said, it's highly scalable, can handle vast amounts of data. And the data lake needs to be struck. There are a lot of vendors in the industry now with like Snowflake, AWS Redshift, who provide very scalable data lake solutions. But scalability is the highest value prop of this whole infrastructure when this idea was proposed like 10, 12 years back. Coming to the ETL process, ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. So by extraction, it's about like how you are extracting the data from third-party sources or internal sources to be fed into the lake. And transforming is going one step next, where you are cleaning the data, validating it, and transforming it so that it's useful for your customers. And loading is the third step, where you're using the transformed data and loading to a warehouse, which is more structured and a subset of the lake. And you basically are loading as a staging area, and that transformed data is then later consumed by downstream use cases for analytics and other purposes. Warehouse, stored and structured, has a set schema. It's the data in that is used for modeling and optimization for queries, partitioning, improved performances, indexing, etc. And when all these first three stages are done, it's consumed for different types of downstream cases. Like data is retrieved from the warehouse for like a dashboard, Tableau dashboard, or a customer-facing dashboard where you're providing insights and visualization, or a data science or a machine learning model as an input training data set. So all these stages cover like the life cycle of a data journey. And for each of these stages, as I've talked before, data compliance and governance is a critical part of it, especially when you are working with a big data source. So you need to have processes and steps in place across all these 4 stages to ensure that your data is annotated properly, its retention policies are set, the data is masked, the personal data is masked properly, etc. I won't go into much details because I covered most of the stuff on this slide, but it's basically the 3 sub-pillars within the analytics realm, where you have the warehouse, which is like a centralized repo for clean data. And then there's metrics, dashboarding, and business intelligence, which is built on top of it. And then there's compliance and governance running horizontally across these pillars. Data lake versus data warehouse. I touched on this topic earlier as well. Think of lake as a combination of structured, unstructured, or semi-structured data versus the warehouse having a structured data and a smaller subset. The users of the lake can be scientists, data scientists, analysts, or internal engineering teams. Whereas for warehouse, it's mostly business analytics and business intelligence engineers who are building dashboards. Use cases for lake can be stream processing, machine learning, training data sets, real-time analysis, and for warehouse, it can be mostly like batch processing, BI reporting, etc. This slide covers different vendors and tools and technology across all the phases and stages of the data journey. They are divided into like dashboarding, data science, ETL, privacy, quality, orchestration. I won't go into all the details, but this can give you a good picture of how to map different tools and technologies to different phases in your data journey. These are some of the use cases in fintech. Since I work for a fintech company, I thought of sharing this with the audience about what kind of producers are there in a fintech company, what events are produced, their financial transactions happening. There's data from customers on how they are interacting with the product, how much payment volume is being moved through your system. So all these producers contribute to the data lake, and then that data is processed and then eventually used downstream for different use cases. So some of the use cases are like observability of the financial data. You guys must be aware of all the analytics and insights that's available on different banking platforms and different trading platforms like Robinhood, Chase Bank, where you can see how much you are spending, how much you are earning, etc. Those are like the observability tools for like finance data. And then there's service observability, where you have all these pipelines and processes and tools that feed into that contribute to this whole ecosystem technologically. So whether those pipelines are running fine, what is how frequently they are breaking, how many bugs are detected in a particular service, etc. So you develop this kind of observability monitoring space to monitor the health of your infrastructure. And then you have merchant-facing dashboards to help the businesses or the merchants on how users, end users are using their platform. And there's fraud detection, market risk monitoring, etc. So these are some of the use cases external, and some of them are internal as well. And then there's analytics use cases for the internal teams on how do they perform, do their job within the company and deliver value using the data they have in the company, right? So like a risk team will require some kind of data to train the risk models to do the prediction of these fraud actors, right? Data and analytics team will require some data to surfaces to the finance team on how the health of the finances and the health of the company is doing overall. Like for public companies, in earning calls, a lot of data goes there. So there are internal teams who are looking for that data. So these are some of the internal analytics use cases for companies. All right, I know we have like 14 minutes now. So coming on to the hot topic of the last 2 years, Gen AI and LLMs. You know how the world changed on October 28, 2022, when ChatGPT was introduced, and the whole concept of large language models was introduced to the world. OpenAI, as you know, has been the pioneer of this, and now there are a bunch of other competitors like Anthropic, Mistral, who are working on the same space. The idea being of what is an LLM, if you ask non-technical person to explain to, I would say think of it as a model that is predicting the next word in a sentence, right? So it's using a large data set in the background to predict what's the next word to add in that sentence based on the context of the topic. So that's what large language models, the foundation of it is. And eventual goal is to basically have like a human-like text-based conversational interaction with it on wide range of topics. Nowadays, companies are training a subset of these large LLMs, hyper-tuning them into more domain-specific or context-specific RAGs or smaller models, as they're calling it. So think of it like a subset of an LLM, which is trained on a particular use case or domain. Example, fintech. Example, marketing tech. Example on social media data, etc. So a lot of companies are trying different things in to leverage these Gen AIs. I've tried to consolidate some of the internal and external top use cases in this industry. Having said that, this is just a small subset of it, but the most widely used across the board. Operational efficiency, starting with internal operational efficiency, is a big one. Companies now, with the advancement of LLMs, they're requiring their employees to do more with less, right? Lean teams asked to own a large portfolio and things to work for. So how do we increase the operational efficiency of those teams to work at that scale, right? Automated code generation is one, GitHub Copilot is a leader in that, data annotation, automated testing. These are some of the use cases which engineering teams are using LLMs for. Other use case, internal use case is productivity. So this is like more for internal non-technical stakeholders, like app and website prototyping, creative content creation, internal chat assistants to help employees search quickly through the large internal knowledge base, etc. So the main idea being is to use LLMs to quickly get to information which they require to do their day-to-day job, be it prototyping, being getting to documentation, or creating some content for their presentation, etc. Coming to external use cases, data insights and reporting, analyzing user data, summarizing it into a natural language, providing personalized recommendation is something which a lot of companies are using LLMs for. Think of it uh, as a personal assistant who's consuming a large information base on your data and telling you in simple 3-4 sentences of, okay, what is the TLDR of that whole your data ecosystem is. LinkedIn is also using that for AI for summarizing some of the posts or the larger articles which are shared on the platform. So that's one of the part of that would fall in this realm. Then last but not the least, chat assistants. It's something which has been in the industry pre-LLM world. People were using more NLP and decision tree based chatbots for a more natural conversation, for mostly for CX and customer success use cases. But now those companies and those use cases are transitioning to using LLMs, which are more natural and they can be trained or rather hyper-tuned to a much more sophisticated use case rather than you having a very rigid tree-based or decision-based architecture. So these chat assistants are helping users either to get to the right place or a right workflow in a tool, or they are getting to an information much more faster and quicker. So think of an example where you have to go to a dashboard, do some filtering, do some customization to get to a certain data point which you want to. And this chat assistant, you can just tell it in a natural language saying that, hey, I'm requiring data from last year, Q1, based on X and Y and Z parameters and filters. Can you please give a summary of that data? Things along those lines. In a normal world, a person had to spend like 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes to get to that data. Now these chat assistants will do that job for you in like 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds. The PM role also has evolved with GenAI as well as the software engineering role. So obviously, as I mentioned before, you are expected to do more with less resources. So how do you use GenAI to increase your operational efficiency? As a PM, I take help in my day-to-day for doing market analysis, faster prototyping. How do I understand a particular user? How do I spend less time on writing documentation? Templating a PRD or a one-pager, etc. Think of it as automating or spending less time on repetitive tasks. So whatever role you are in currently, make ChatGPT, Cloud AI, on whatever LLM you're comfortable with as a best friend and try to ask for questions about how can I improve this job. And then once you get more details, to be more efficient, then you can double click on those tasks and get more value out of that LLM. So that's how I use it. Different people use it differently. But a lot of software engineering teams have also started using Gen AI for writing initial code or generating test cases, etc. All right. I'll pause here. Before I conclude, I would also like to give this audience a few helpful tips on which influencers on social media are good to follow for good PM content. Obviously, Kushal and team uh, are doing a great job. There are other individual PMs, ex-PMs also who are in this space. Like there's a handle called Just Another PM. Akash Gupta is another one. Shreyas Doshi is another one. So you guys can follow these folks on LinkedIn, Twitter, X to get more about their insights on what a PM role is and how to break into a PM role or how to improve your skill set as a PM. That's it from me, Kushal and Priya. Looking at the chat and see if
Thanks,
there are any
Sandra.
questions.
I think, hi, folks. We are open to questions now. So please do not hesitate to either unmute yourself and ask us the question directly, or you can put your questions in the chat section. Once again, and thanks for the session. I think I personally had a lot of takeaways myself. And folks, we look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, we do have one from Kyle. What tips can you give to a PM that wants to keep up to date on AI topics? That's a great question.
Great question. I think personally, what I do is I follow a lot of podcasts and also a lot of handles both on LinkedIn and X to keep myself up to date. But as you know, there's so much noise on these platforms. How do you distinguish between what is the right one, which is the most valuable one? So as I mentioned, specifically to PM, Shreyas Doshi, Akash Gupta, Just Another PM are the ones. But on topics they talk a lot about how AI is disrupting PM space, how tech industry is using AI, etc. So they do talk about all these topics, but specific to AI, I have a few AI podcast recommendations from Wall Street Journal. There's a podcast called AI Tech something. Let me check the name real quick for you, Kyle. But you can, based on the subscription and the comments on those podcasts and like the followers, I would definitely recommend searching it in the social media space and the podcast channels you follow to understand, okay, what kind of content they're generating, how popular they are, etc. There's one channel on called What's New on Wall Street Journal. That's a podcast which is very short and quickly updates on day-to-day things happening in AI and tech. Then there's one on A16Z. That's A16Z podcast talks about the different investments happening in the AI and tech space. Personally, I follow Data Engineering podcast, which is slightly technical, but talks about the advancements in data and engineering space. There's All In podcast, which talks about politics, AI, technology as a whole. It's a larger, they do it for like 1.5 hours every episode, so it's a big time commitment. But they have sections in it where you can see, okay, this is for tech, this is for politics. So you can separate that out. There's another one from Wall Street Journal called The Future of Everything. That's also a good one to follow. There is The Journal, which is like a joint production from Wall Street Journal and Spotify. That also covers politics, but they cover a lot on tech and AI as well. Yeah, there are a bunch of them. If This Day in AI is another one. But yeah, I'll stop talking now because I follow a bunch of them. And based on the episodes that are launched every week or every day, I pick and choose of which one is the best use of my time. And the good part of these podcasts is like there is a summary which you can see of what it covers. Yeah, that's how I do it on like listening side. So whenever I'm walking my dog or whenever I'm driving, I listen to these podcasts. Otherwise, when in my free time, I'm scrolling on Twitter and LinkedIn to follow the right people and consume content from them.
I think that's a good list. And there's way too many podcasts. Keep following up or to stay on top of things.
Yeah,
I personally follow A6Z as well. They're pretty good.
nice.
All right, we have a few questions okay, we'll start with Roop. Hello, can you tell how to leverage GenAI more effectively by specific prompts? As there are a wide array of prompts, but those might not give accurate details. There's some reading material available.
Yeah, so you can find a list of, just Google it, or you'll find a lot of articles on this. I won't go into the details of those prompts. Depends on use case to use case. But one takeaway definitely I would tell you, while using an LLM, the more context and details you give to an LLM, the better its responses will be. So for example, if you are asking a question like, for example, give me a template for a PRD I'm writing for XYZ product, right? If you tell, okay, you are a PM in a company who works in this domain, and my responsibility as a PM is to do this job, and then you get to the question that, hey, I need a PRD, its response would be much, much more better than that. So giving more and more context to an LLM helps getting more accuracy in the response. And as follow-ups, as you guys must know already, every time you ask the same question, the response is different, right? So keep asking. If you're not getting the right question, ask the right answer. Ask that same question in a different manner. Ask it to summarize. Ask it to focus on a particular topic which it has answered on. It can come up with long list of items. Ask it to double down on certain things or certain topics which you're interested in. So take it like as you're talking to a human and trying to gain some knowledge from them, right? Keep scratching its brain until you get the right answer. So that's how I approach it.
Yep.
And as you are using more and more, you'll get the prompts which work the best. But obviously, there are a lot of articles on prompt engineering and what prompts to use to certain template of questions, etc.
All right, we have a question from Manish. As an APM in the early stages of their career, how should I go about learning more about AI if there's no scope for actively building AI projects, AI products? Where should I start basically?
So if you don't have an understanding on what AI is or traditional ML is and want to learn more, I would recommend a course from Andrew Yang. It's on Coursera, Introduction to Machine Learning or something like that. But you'll search Andrew Yang, you'll get it. He's a distinguished professor and a great pioneer in this field. So he tries to do a lot of his content and lectures on the broader aspect of what machine learning as a concept is and how it's being used and leveraged in a very simple term. And he'll also go in details of different concepts of how the training of machine learning model is and how it's used differently. So it will give you a good broader picture, and then you can decide, okay, what kind of topics within AI realm you are more interested in and learn about. But there are a bunch of like free courses on YouTube or different platforms which you can go over and learn once you have a high level idea of AI. I know Kushal shared a course from deep learning. Nice. So Raghav has another question on, I'm a data scientist and an ML specialist trying to break into PM role, preferably data ML PM role. What relevant skills should I project for the job? Great question, Raghav.
Good question.
I would say that There are two things which hiring managers and PM teams look for in people who come from more technical or data heavy background. One is how skilled they are to stop getting into the weeds and know their boundaries, to step back on the how part of it. So, for example, since you are coming from a technical background, you know a lot about execution. You can eventually get into the rabbit hole of getting into the execution details. So you need to prove it to in your interviews and also in your day-to-day job that you know where to stop and know your boundaries and hand over the baton to your engineering counterpart or the data science counterpart to take the lead from there. So keeping it high level and the what and why aspect and stopping when it goes to how is one thing which PMs are scared about for people who are switching from technical backgrounds to PM. So that's one thing. And second is, how do you consume a lot of information across the breadth and not go into the details of every topic? And how are you able to summarize and connect the dots between these different parts of information you are consuming and explaining or translating it to a more understandable storytelling? Storytelling is a very good key aspect of a product manager. If you are not able to comprehend a lot of information and connect the dots and bring a story out of it in the manner on what your stakeholders want to listen to or what they care about, then you lose your audience and then you are not able to prove your worth as a PM. So I feel that's another very important skill to have. Demonstrating on portfolio of products. I mean, you can talk about the products you worked on currently in your data science engineering role, and tell the hiring managers about how you were going above and beyond to understand the end-to-end flow or the work of that product from nascence to execution, ideation to execution, etc. So that's how you can use those projects or products to tell your story and sell your skill set. All right. It was great chatting with you guys, Kushal and Priya. Thank you for having me.
Yep.
And appreciate everyone joining the call. And I hope everybody gained something out of it. And I look forward to doing this more.
Thanks so much, Andra. I think there are a lot of takeaways for everyone in today's session. Folks who are joining in from LinkedIn Live, thanks again for sharing your evening time with us. It's been a pleasure. This recording will be going on to our YouTube channel as well as we'll have it on LinkedIn Live as well, or on our LinkedIn page as well. So in case you want to refer to it later, share it with your friends who you think will benefit. Please do so. We will obviously, folks who want to reach out to Indra directly, we can probably comment Indra's coordinates on the LinkedIn post, so that you can reach out to him directly in case you want to help around product management, to understand a few things in the AI space, especially if you're quite passionate about becoming AI product managers. Please go ahead and then do reach out. With that, we end today's session. Indra, thanks again. It was a pleasure having you join us today. We hope to obviously have you more often on our platform for future sessions as well. We'll make it work for you. And yeah, I think thanks for dialing in. Thanks everyone for your evening, for obviously for joining us late evening on a midweek. We appreciate it. Please do, in case you're interested to know more about the PM School's flagship program, please reach out to Priyal. He's going to drop more information over email, or reach out to us on our social media platforms, in primarily LinkedIn, and visit our website, pmschool.io as well. With that, we end today's session. Shout out to Indra again. Take care, everyone,
Bye,
and
guys. Thank
speak
you.
to you soon. Thank you.